And when Sebastian asked me to speak about infrastructure, I was like, oh, infrastructure. But actually, I am using a lot of infrastructure, and I think I'm a negative control from the perspective that I do not use so much institutional infrastructure, and I will explain a bit more in detail. But first of all, to introduce myself a little bit, also some things changed. I started approximately a year ago at this institute in the top left corner, SCATS AI, which is one of the 6 German national institutes for artificial intelligence research. We have no microscopes and there are no biological samples in-house and also not on campus, so it's really far away. I am working there as a training coordinator, and I'm also within this national NFTI for Bioimage project. I'm also the one who is responsible for training. And those of you who do not know GloBIAS for a very long time, GloBIAS started as the Society for Knowledge Exchange in Bioimage Analysis. So that's why the grant proposal originally was proposing the name GloBIAS. I'm just saying, I spend a lot of time on training and thinking about training and these kind of things. And if somebody asks me to speak about infrastructure, I will give a talk about training. But let's start at the infrastructure point. So what are we using at the Institute to exchange data, to work together on stuff? So I guess Nextcloud is now a thing. OwnCloud was the name of similar software before everybody might be using in the field. Overleaf, we have actually an own instance running of this system. We are working a lot with Jupyter Lab. This is running on our HPC system. We have hundreds of graphics cards, like super expensive. We are also a national node for high performance computing, and I hardly use it. And we have GitLab. And here I put a screenshot of a GitLab of the institute where I worked before, So this is something like 5-6 years ago. I worked at MPI-CBG. My profile is still there. You can access it still. You may even be able to access some of my Fiji plugins I programmed back in the days. But even the stuff which is in there, a lot of it is closed source and also not accessible to me anymore. And this is a reason, I guess, if I send them an email, can you send me? I will get it. But this is a reason why I would advocate for public infrastructure, because academics move from institute to institute every 2-3 years, and we always leave something behind. And the stuff which is most important to us, the open source projects we are interested in, should potentially run on publicly available infrastructure, lie on github.com, where you can then also use, for example, automated archiving and let this stuff automatically run to Zenodo. And you can, no matter where you work, if you work at a different university tomorrow, you can just, no issue at all, continue working on this project. You can work together, internationally in collaborations. It's all super easy because basically all data scientists nowadays, I guess, have a GitHub account. When it comes to artificial intelligence, to LLM, large language models infrastructure, I quickly would like to do a short survey with you. Who of you has access to an institutional large language model server? Only 10%? Like 1 or 2 years ago, that was 0%. Nobody was thinking about this topic at all. And I'm here now postulating that in something like 5 years, everybody will have such an infrastructure locally at their institute. Or if it is too expensive for the smaller institutes, I guess there's also national or like regional infrastructure. So in Germany, we are talking about Blablador and Kiski. Yeah, great names, which is like accessible to all German researchers. I would presume, and please try it out, you find their links on the bottom, that the Kiski infrastructure is available internationally, but I do not have confirmation for that yet. But when you go to their website, they say it's available to everyone. And I think with everyone, they mean like literally everyone. So sign up there and let me know if this works for you, even if you are not from Germany. And there's publicly commercial or free infrastructure here. I also put it the Bioimage IO chatbot on it because it is actually a freely available thing where everybody can get an account and can use language models. So it's like one opportunity. The other opportunity is GitHub Models Marketplace, where you're one of the other opportunities where you have to sign up and wait on a wait list for something like a month until you get access to OpenAI, Mistral, like a list of models which you can use. And there's this saying we are using often in our local community: if it's for free, you are part of the product. The downside of all this is that if you, for example, compare, so these local servers which run in your institute, or the regional ones, the national ones, they typically run open models. They do not run GPT-4. So if you compare them quantitatively, you will note, so this is a benchmark we did together with Tichy and some others, you will note that the leading models in the field, for example, bioimage analysis, code generation, are the commercial ones. So, and the best one, open weight model, not even open source model, MetaLlama 3.1 405B, is like half as good approximately like the leading commercial one. And you need substantial HPC infrastructure to run these models. So this is nothing you can use on your laptop, right? So there's like a downside here. This is again why I'm recommending you know about the generative artificial intelligence notebooks. It's a notebook collection I made for my new institute. Some of you may have seen the bioimage analysis notebooks before. It's a collection of approximately 100 Jupyter notebooks, which started like from training materials, a little bit curated. And then at some point, I gave a virtual talk in Mexico together with Martin. So together, we were both there after each other in this virtual conference. And I realized that the language barrier is really a substantial issue. Also, from a cost-benefit perspective, translating these 100 notebooks from English into one language costs approximately $12. This is 100% AI generated. In particular, for the basic stuff, language models are really, really good. So like Python basics, plotting basics, statistics, these kind of things, which are like on the internet in a million places used for large language model training, work really, really great. So here also feedback very welcome. Then I guess many of you have seen that or used that as well. There's ChatGPT. You have a complicated piece of Python code and you would like to have an explanation like I'm 12 years old. And this is what I recommend my students who, for example, program Python for the very first time and they are afraid of raising their hand and asking, how does this dictionary thing work? How does this follow? So, but you can ask a language model like a billion times. It's endless patient. And you can also, in particular, ask it to explain it in a way like a 12-year-old would understand. So look, understanding variables. So there are 3 variables. They are like boxes that store lists of information. And the dictionary is something like a big box where there are smaller boxes in there. So I may not be able to do this. So I'm really glad that this technology exists and helps me in personalized ad hoc training. That's what I basically call it. And you can also do this in a more complicated way. Here, for example, I asked ChatGPT, can you please write a Python Jupyter notebook that explains the very basics of tabular data wrangling? So similar to the Python basics I've shown before, here this is now working with tables. And the result doesn't look so super amazing. It's also maybe a bit hard to read with all the comments and stuff. And that's why I built this into a tool I'm developing these days. It's called Gitbob. And Gitbob can actually generate a Jupyter notebook, which you can then read online and share with friends. So that's like my way of making the stuff which works in ChatGPT anyway, make it a little bit more accessible to the community via GitHub issues in this particular situation. And I have a more advanced example here showing how I think teaching in the future could look like collaborative learning with AI assistance. This is a website I will also share again on Friday in the training session. So we at this German national infrastructure, we are collecting training materials, collecting links to training materials in a website, in a database, similar to Microscopy DB. And we're also talking and collaborating with them of how to do these things together. And one task would have been or was, maybe it would be a nice idea to have on the starting page of this website the most downloaded stuff from last week. And if you think about this task, like not complicated, go through the database, look what was downloaded often last week, and then put a screenshot of that on the starting page. Looks approximately like this. But the problem is, if I would need to do this, I would not know how to. I do not know which libraries or how this technically works because I'm an image analyst. So like going through databases and determining what was downloaded the most often is certainly not a task I can do. But I can describe this task. It would be great if we had a script somewhere that determines the recently downloaded Zenodo records and which one was most often downloaded and so on, and put a screenshot on the website. And I was hoping that one of my students could do this. At that point, when I had written down the task, neither Mara nor me knew how to do this. And the large language model basically comes up with a proposal. It generates some Python code. And then afterwards, I asked Maha, could you maybe look into this? So I'm here on this way. I'm communicating with a human and with an artificial intelligence in the same communication channel. This is a thing which none of the ChatGPT and how they are all called are supporting. And I can even talk to multiple language models in this platform and combine their knowledge together with multiple humans. So we can go back and forth and find a solution and then at some point have an implementation of that. So this is basically my way of, again, making this stuff more accessible to the community. And even you can click on this link and read how I was prompting this machine and then the solution finally came out. Even more advanced down the road, you can use text embeddings to cluster training data. So here you see now a UMap on the right side, and I'm outlining some regions. Here, this region obviously corresponds to software, to GitHub, to these kind of things. And if you outline the region very next to it, you come to training materials about research data management. And obviously, version control and research data management are related. So it makes sense that they are close by in such a UMap. And I'm showing that here in particular, because this only works if we share our training materials openly so that AI researchers like myself can download them and use them for these kind of research. So consider, for example, if you gave a talk here this week, consider sharing your training materials openly according to the FAIR principles, and then you will have some data points in this UMap. So my last word is, like, it is super hard to use only institutional infrastructure. At some point, the project would benefit from using publicly available commercial infrastructure. Otherwise, we may lose something. And with that, I would like to thank my small team and all the funding agencies and communities, and I give back the word to Sebastian.